Y'all know I've been using TEAMI for the past couple weeks, and at this point, I can honestly tell y'all TEAMI is officially a part of my morning routine. So whether you're getting ready for a wedding like me or hot girl summer like me, because both of them, go ahead and check out the link in my description box, Necey 15 or Necey 20 for your discount. Hey y'all, it's Necey Dixon. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you are new here, welcome. If you are returning, y'all, welcome back. A happy day after the 4th. Happy 16 days post Juneteenth. I hope y'all had a really good weekend. If y'all didn't pop some fireworks, if y'all didn't do anything like that, I hope y'all at least had some good barbecue, whatever y'all like to eat for y'all's 4th of July. So, what's up, y'all? Ooh, hey, Bondi. I was just about to talk about Ooh Ladies First. What's up? It's J-Dub, Alicia Garcia, Nana P, the regulars. Hey, Carrie. I love it when y'all beat me into a video. So before we get started, I definitely want to announce some things, y'all. Like I say every single week, I always say, Ooh, ladies first, we doing big things. Ooh, we doing big things. We doing big things. And y'all, we didn't just stop with 1 or 2 interviews, but we have 2 more interviews coming up within the next week. The very first one of the week will be Anila tomorrow on Jamie That's Me's channel. This is Anila from Married to Medicine, the newest lady. So if y'all have some questions, be sure to hit us up on our social media at Ooh Ladies First Panel, OOH. Remember that? You can also send me a DM via Twitter or Instagram. And if your question is chosen, we will ask, okay? We might even mix it up and be like, J-Dub from blah, blah, blah. We might pull an Andy. So y'all go ahead, be sure to reach out for that. And then on Thursday, y'all, we have Ashley Forrester. I don't want to chop up her name, but y'all, this is Ashley from season 1 of OWN's Put a Ring on It. Remember, she was with Hollywood, and it's going to be a lot of fun. That will be on Jay Lee's Corner channel on Thursday. So I hope that y'all get to see us for that. And then on top of that, y'all, what am I doing this weekend? I will not be in town this weekend. I am going to good old NOLA. So your Friday reviews will definitely be postponed again till Monday like this week. However, like I told y'all, we're doing big things. So next week, we should have an interview on my channel. I'm not going to reveal who it is just yet because I'm going to wait till everything's, I feel like we tied up, but I'm going to wait till we get closer to the date. So after I return from NOLA, if y'all want to catch up with the trip, see what I'm doing, follow me on Instagram. There'll be an interview on my channel the very next week. So, oh, look at this. Shantia says she'll be in NOLA this weekend for her birthday. I might see you on Bourbon Girl. So, y'all, today we are doing a reality TV roundup because like I mentioned to y'all, I had a super busy weekend. I was actually looking for wedding dresses and I came down to like the final 3. Still not sure. On top of that, I was at my parents' house just to eat some barbecue. It was a busy weekend. So today we are doing a reality TV roundup. We are going to cover Put a Ring on It, Ready to Love, and Love After Lockup. I'm going to go in order. I think we're going to build ourselves up. Initially, I was like, okay, Ready to Love is going to be last. I thought that Ready to Love was going to be last, but honestly, y'all, I don't think the reunion was hitting like that. So Ready to Love will not be last. What we're going to do is we are going to start with Put a Ring on It. But before we do that, let me check in with y'all in the comments. Thank y'all for already jumping on the video. I hope y'all are off of work today. And if y'all are not off of work, I hope that I caught y'all on y'all's lunch. So I already shouted out a couple of y'all. Liz Bids, hey girl, what's up? Sam J, what's up? That is so funny. Alana, okay, I didn't know that Alana was in NOLA. What's up, girl? Yeah, Harold. Okay, Harold, you always switch it up with the name and the icon. Okay, new icon. Okay, name. Hey, Julia Jewel. What's up, Fave? And hey, Naturally Mar. So let's go ahead and get into this review for Put a Ring on It. All right. So the episode starts off where it ended up last week. You remember the very first week, the men were the ones to go on a date first. And like I told y'all, I think Darian definitely is going to be the fool of this season, okay? Y'all, please correct me if I'm wrong. The only song that I remember, and y'all, I don't remember a lot of stuff because I am a lot like younger than a lot of y'all. Not y'all, but I always feel like I miss a lot of the classics, okay? When it comes to the classic shows, I'm always out of the loop and I'm always never known them because I'm like, I'm only 26, but when all those good shows were coming on, I was not watching them. I was watching Nickelodeon. So really I listened to music. The only song that I remember from Field Mob was So What with Sierra. And I love that song so much. Hey, so like rice with it later. So what? That's your cousin. That don't mean nothing. I love that. But other than that, I did not know this man. Like old boy said on a day, I ain't never seen this man a day in my life. So that's what I'm gonna get into. I'm like, why do y'all keep acting like somebody is really gonna recognize him? Like, I mean, maybe in Atlanta, okay? Maybe there's a disconnect. Y'all correct me if I'm wrong. Anyway, the only person out of all the men who agreed to go on a second date is Darian. He wants to go on a date with Kai. Kai was the thick Southern girl that was like, this is a good time to be free. You should be free with me. Sounding real. I didn't like that. I didn't like that. She sounded, I don't know, thirsty, real. It sounded real rehearsed, like something that production had told her to say, like, we want you to come in him hot and heavy. And that's what she did. And I was just like, didn't like that. However, he said that when he was talking to the group, Kai reminded him of the things that he likes. And I'm like, why would you say that in front of Alexis as if Alexis doesn't have things that you like anymore? So to me, I feel like Darian is foolish. I think that he keeps saying things that to me just seems so wild, but Alexis is used to it, in my opinion. Alexis said last episode that he had never explained another woman to her before, and all of this ignorance was kind of new to her, but 14 years is a long time for him just to pop up on TV and then all of a sudden, you know, be lightweight disrespectful, in my opinion. You're getting a little bit too carried away, having too much fun with these dates. So we find out with Dr. Nicole that this week is the women's week, so the women get to go on their dates. So the first date that we get to see is Jessica's date, y'all. Remember, y'all, Jessica and Eric are the couple that's been together for, what she says 4 years, he says 3 years. Started out as a situationship. He's a former NFL player. And to me, I feel like one of my commenters left a really good comment. Y'all said something about Jessica. Jessica said that if she doesn't get a ring from this, that would mean that all the hard work that she put in would basically go in vain. And they felt like by her saying that, that was her basically saying that she put up with a lot of shit, a lot of like the NFL, NBA wife life type stuff. You know, you have an athlete, but you put up with the shit because in the end, you're trying to get the ring, you're trying to secure the bag after everything that you had to endure. So I thought that that was a really good point. But what I want to know is I feel like they aren't going deep enough into what these couples' relationships were like. What's the status? How did y'all meet? Like, we know it was a situationship. You say 3 years, she says 4 years y'all been together. But like, what happened? And then Eric, even on his date last episode, he said that his relationship kind of began in infidelity because he was dating multiple people. So it's like, is it infidelity or is it a situationship? I don't know what's what, and I feel like y'all hit the miss or y'all hit the marker by not explaining to us exactly where these couples were. Because, I mean, both Jessica and Eric, they say that they trust each other, but then at the same time, they'll also say that trust is the biggest issue in their relationship. So I'm like, What is it that y'all have not explained to us, or what is it that was edited out for us to get a better understanding as to why trust is y'all's main issue, okay? So y'all, Jessica, she goes on a date with this dude, Randon. Randon is right here in the bottom. That boy was country AF. He was giving me, Bubba Gump vibes, like real country. And something about just the flow of the way he talked. It was really funny. Has some strong cheekbones. So yeah, Jessica, she dresses up. She looked like she wants a club. Her outfit was cute, but I probably wouldn't wear that to a restaurant in the sun, like in the daylight. Nothing wrong with that. Oh, girl, look good. But she was definitely using this date to try to get underneath Eric's skin, and it definitely worked. So whenever Raymond came to the house to pick her up, Eric was definitely being a little bit of an asshole. Came to the door. What's your name? Randon. What's your name? Randon. Close the door. What's your name? It's Randon, man. I'm like, oh my gosh, y'all are too funny. So then he ends up coming up the stairs. Eric is speaking for Randon, basically like, hey, this is my girl. Keep your eyes up the whole time. And Randon says to Jessica, it's especially good to see you right now. And he was basically flirting right in front of his face. But something about Randon, y'all pay attention to the way that they select the datees, the people who the couples go on dates with. I feel like they try to use people of similar characters, similar stature, or somebody who will be in the same league as their significant other. For example, Randon looks very athletic, but at the same time, when I seen Randon come to the door, I was like, fuck boy. Okay, and that's definitely a word that I overuse. So if you're new to this, take with a grain of salt, but he definitely was giving me F-boy vibes when he came through the door. And then not only that, we find out on the date that this man is 32 years old and that he has never had a girlfriend before. And he says the reason why he's never had a girlfriend before is because he wants to wait and he wants to make sure that he chooses the right one. Now his Playboy days are over and he's ready for a queen of his own. And Jessica's like, okay. I don't think that's normal. 32 years old and you've never, ever, ever had a girlfriend. Not to mention, he didn't leave out the fact that he's done everything else. He said, I've dated, I've done all the above. I just haven't had a girlfriend. Big red flag. But at the same time, Jessica, I don't think Jessica's looking for nobody at all. Jessica's here to use these dates to get under Eric's skin. She wants to get the power back in her court. So that way he can go ahead and put a ring on. That's pretty much all it is. But the couple that I'm excited to see meet with Dr. Nicole for a one-on-one is definitely this one, because it's something that we're not understanding and something that they're not telling us. So I definitely would like to know more. Jessica also mentions on this date to Randon that she trusts Eric 100%, but in the back of her mind, she always wonders what he could be doing. And I'm like, y'all, Eric said the same thing. Eric, damn, y'all, they're still popping fireworks by me, and I thought I was going to be safe on July 5th, okay? So y'all bear with me. I hope it's not too loud. But anyway, y'all, both Jessica and Eric are saying they trust each other 100%. So we just need to know more. Give us more. What's the reason? So we will move on to LaRonda and Sean. So LaRonda and Sean have a meetup with Dr. Nicole. And after watching the last season, I think I did like 2 review videos on Put a Ring on It. But my request was for us to see more therapy sessions with Dr. Nicole. I feel like last season, it was just like date. And I don't feel like it did anything for any of the couples. It definitely got some of the couples a little shaken up, but I don't think that it did anything to help the couples make a better decision. In the end, I don't feel like any of the dudes are really ready to be engaged. I don't know what the status of the other couples are, so y'all comment below and let me know. I think Mike and Shay are still engaged, but I don't know if they have any plans to actually get married. All right, so in this sit down with Dr. Nicole, I'm glad that they're doing this. I hope that we see it more often. But one of the things that she has the couples talk about is finances. Now, y'all know, Sean said that he is an entrepreneur / comedian, and his income isn't steady. LaRonda definitely is the one with more steady income. And he says that whenever they have conversations about budgeting, her conversations are always on a month-to-month annual basis, and his conversations are here and there. He doesn't have the same income every single month. So to sum it all up, it makes him feel inferior. It makes him feel worthless, like he doesn't bring anything to the table. And, you know, one of the things, Sean is sensitive, very sensitive, but I can appreciate him being authentic and open on this show rather than trying to act all manly and hard like it's something that he doesn't want to discuss. So I'm really glad that he took this session with Dr. Nicole and actually used it to better himself. Because I feel like a lot of these people come on the show, a lot of dudes come on the show and they want to act like they're not bothered by, you know, their girl going on a date with somebody. They want to act like they're so hard. So I will credit Sean there. And this just seemed like a real therapy session. So whenever Dr. Nicole asked him, so why do you feel inferior and why does it make you feel worthless? He then goes back and says that the trauma is brought from his dad. So when he grew up, his dad would come, he would provide for them financially, but not in any other way. So to him, he feels like being a financial provider is end all be all. If you can't provide financially, then what are you even doing? And LaRonda, basically, she reassures him, she lets him know that as long as your love is there, your attention is there, you have good intent, then that's all she cares about. And she ends up kissing him on the forehead. I'm like, oh, that's sweet. I definitely feel like this couple right here is probably the most normal couple. Probably one of the couples, in my opinion, that probably didn't even need to come on this show. I don't think that their limbo is definitely I don't think they're in limbo because they don't want to get married. I think both of them want to get married. Both of them want to be engaged. But like Sean said in episode 1, I think it comes down to his stability. So I want to know, did she decide to come on this show? Did he decide to come on this show? Either way it goes, I don't think it was necessary for them. Couples counseling would have been cool. But for y'all to date around, I don't think that that's going to really help anything because neither one of y'all want anyone else. So next, let's pop into Alexia's date. Y'all, Alexia, sorry. Something about Alexia, y'all. I like her. She's cool. But Alexia, 14 years. 14 years. You've been with this man since you were 19 or 20. This man, Darian, comes with the antics. He's definitely full of shit. So for you to say on this date that you're an alpha and you do stuff because you want to do it or you don't do anything, like you don't allow him to influence your decisions, it's hard for me to believe. It really is, because I feel 14 years, y'all, you could, it's no way. It's no way. And this is the other couple I feel like we don't know enough about y'all's past. 14 years exclusively? Y'all said y'all been on and off. So what does on and off mean? Does that mean y'all stopped dating for 2 years and y'all got in other relationships? Y'all got back together? Does this mean that y'all were in a 8-year situationship and 6-year commitment? Like, it's just, I really don't know. And if you like it, I love it. But Alexia, I just don't think this is what it is. So let's go ahead and get into her date. So Alexia goes on a date with Chris, who is a trainer. And I think Chris is much more handsome than Darian. He shows up with the mask on, respectfully. Shout out to you. But then you were going to take your mask off for the date anyway. But anyway, y'all, he seems like a nice dude. He's 41 years old, and they end up going to batting cages. So whenever he comes in the house, Alexia is sitting on the couch next to Darian, and she says, do you recognize him? Do you know him? Trying to see if Chris was somehow a fan of Darian. And Darian says, I've never seen him a day in my life. And honestly, like, when I started out the show, I said the same thing. I didn't know who Darian was. I'm like, really? It's cool. He's had that one good song that I really like, not trying to, knock his accomplishments, but for y'all to really act like this man is somebody recognizable off of the street, nah. If you can go into Walmart, shop around in peace, there's no point in you asking if people recognize you. So I'm just like, I guess. So yeah, she was like, okay, good. That's all I need to hear. You don't know. Oh, okay, you're not a fan. Like, Alexia, one of the questions I have for you, I want to know, y'all ask Alexia or tell Alexia to come to the Ooh Ladies First panel so I can ask her this myself. How often is it that you go out and people recognize Darian? I want to know. I would love to know that. So anyway, they're on a date. And really, she explains, like I said, they've been together since 19 or 20, and that's just beyond me. I cannot. And he's asking her, like, so what do you like to do? She says, I like to go out, but Darian. And he says, no, what do you like to do? And then she gets somewhat kind of like, she makes this face up here. That's why I snapshotted it and was like, well, I don't let him influence anything, da, 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 da. But yet the whole day you're still going back to Darian. He's trying to get to know you and you're going back to Darian. Darian did not do that one time on his date. He did not. And when he got home, he let you know that that's the stuff. You doing stuff that Kai don't do. So I really feel like Alexia and Darian has the dynamic where Darian has the ball in his court, has always had the ball in his court, and Alexia's kind of just been there. So the on and offness, to me, I feel like it's definitely induced by Darian. Alexis has been here already. Alexia, 14 years, you're on ready, sis. I don't understand. It's definitely him. And that's something that you're not giving us. What was he doing over the 14 years? I also want to know the timing of this. Maybe when you were with him, he was very popping and people knew who he was back then, which is why you give him this heightened sense of importance. Y'all tell me what y'all think, because it just ain't adding up to me. I just really want to know what's what. So ultimately, it seems like the date was okay, but I don't think that Alexia is really open to dating anybody besides Darian. So let's move on to this date between LaRonda and John. Y'all. So LaRonda's at the house and she's getting ready for the date. She's got the baby oil. She's lathering up her legs and everything. And the old girl looks good AF. And Sean is asking her, you don't have a pen to close it? And she's like, no, it's not that bad. He's sitting there struggling. Hey, struggling. He looks hurt. Now, I will talk about Sean in a minute. I appreciate his openness, but there's definitely something that we need to check there, okay? So let's get to this date. John shows up to the house and he's full of the theatrics. Full of theatrics. He says, hi, my name's John. He don't just say, my name's John. My name's John. I'm a singer-songwriter. He came on this show and he said, if I'm not finding a woman, y'all definitely are going to know my name. Peace and blessings. And, I'm definitely going to get something out of this. However, I think he seemed like a nice person, but he knew his assignment. The assignment was to come on, go on a show, go on a date, but ultimately you wanted your name to be out there. So he's popping up at the house, peace and blessings, peace and blessings. I want clarity, y'all want clarity. And if any female, likes me or something, I offer to provide her clarity and stimulation and all, like words, full of words. And typically, in my opinion, whenever people are full of words with little context or little, meaning, like you're not saying anything of value, you're just saying words, you're typically full of shit. So I had red flags when he first popped up to the house, but LaRonda seemed to get along with him. So LaRonda and John go on down to the Bailey wine cellar, and I thought it looked familiar. I was like, okay, this is definitely Cynthia's thing. And then they put the sign up and the sign said Bailey wine cellar. So they get there, and then she's like, what wine do you want to drink? They get some Black Girl Magic. And they sit down, they have a good time. He seems like a really fun person. They start playing grapes back and forth with each other. And really, they start having like a few real life conversations. He says he wants to have a family one day, but everything is peace and blessings. Everything is a lot of words. And then conveniently, y'all, he has a song for her. And he starts singing, when I find you, I'm gonna put a ring on it. I guess y'all might need to consider having John being the new theme song, because I really love the Ready to Love theme song. Put a ring on it is cool. I do. Do you? That one's cool, but I feel like John had a really nice soulful tune to it. So John, you knew the assignment. You came on the show. You presented yourself the way you wanted to be presented, and I actually will probably try to look you up to listen to what the rest of your music sounds like. He didn't sound bad. So y'all, while the date went well, blah, Sean is at home. He can't even finish his peanut butter and jelly sandwich. I was like, damn, Sean, I really do appreciate him being vulnerable, but that level of emotion to me is a little bit alarming. only because it's not controlled. I'm not saying that men shouldn't display emotion or shouldn't have emotion, but what I'm saying is it seems like emotions take over Sean and he can't really control them. And I feel like that's a little bit of concern. And that's probably why he would benefit the most from having individual counseling sessions or as a couple with them two having more counseling sessions with Dr. Nicole. So he FaceTimes his friend and he's like, man, I can't do this. This is really triggering me. This is it. Jason, this is the comment. Codependency is not high. That's exactly what it is. And that's what I wanted to talk about, y'all. So I feel like Sean has been through so much in his life that LaRonda is probably one of the best things that happened to him. However, he puts his value in what he can do for her, or he puts his value in the relationship. So it kind of makes me wonder, if LaRonda was to leave, what would you do? It's very, very alarming. This is the other comment. Harold, I have to agree with you. There's a difference between expressing emotions versus being emotionally unstable. Sean doesn't seem to have control over his. Right. So, like I said, I don't think it's going to help either Sean or LaRonda to date other people. I think that Sean has to do a lot of self-searching to find out, like, what do you value in yourself? You need to find out why you're so emotional. You need to work through things, like Dr. Nicole said, instead of trying to get over it. And that's probably a lot of the times why we see his emotion explode this episode, is because he hasn't gotten over things. He's only tried to get, or he hasn't gotten through things. He's only ever tried to get over them. So that's a big red flag. Anybody that can't control their emotions, to me, it's a little alarming, okay? It's a little alarming. All in all, I think Sean is a good dude. He just has a different set of things to work on than the other couples. So, y'all, the couples finally meet up again with Dr. Nicole, and they're all giving their recaps from the dates. Let's start talking about Alexia and Darian. Really, they're not listening to each other. Dr. Nicole asked, do y'all seek to understand or you just seek to talk? And Alexia says that they stayed up until like 7 o'clock in the morning. And it was the first time that they had done that since like college. So it seems like they think that they're making progress. And Darian's saying, yeah, I'm using these dates as a tool to sharpen up our relationships or our relationship. But the thing is, Darian, you only saying that this week because Alexia is the one on the date. Next week, you're going to go on a date with Caira. You're going to go on a date with Kaya thick ass. And then all of a sudden, you're going to forget about sharpening the relationship. He's giving me very much temptation. I think he likes to play with temptation because he likes Kai. And he also, is trying to use the excuse that if he beats this temptation, then their relationship is stronger. But he likes the attention. So, Alexia, watch your back with this man. Watch it, please. And then, y'all, let me just tell y'all what the decision is. So, Alexia decides not to go on another date with Chris. I mean, y'all really wasn't into each other like that anyway. And to be honest, I don't think Alexia is going to vibe with anybody if it's not Darian. Because I think that Darian controls and Darian has power in this relationship. Alexia is going to be there. She going to stand by her side. And I'm sticking by her side. I think that's what it's going to be. So, y'all, we can go ahead and we can talk about Jessica and Eric. Again, they talk about trust. They don't trust each other, blah, 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 blah. Although Jessica had a really good date, she says that she does not want to go on a second date because the dude is 32 and he has no girlfriend. Understood. I think that was a good reason. I think if she had a good date, she probably would have went on a second date. But in this situation, I don't blame you, sis. 32, no girlfriend in Atlanta. What you got going on, sir? So, next, y'all, we get into LaRonda and Sean. And he starts crying again, y'all. He starts saying that he doesn't want to be his dad. And, y'all, I feel like this has to be the first time that Sean is talking about this, like, in depth. And I just really hope that you get what you need from this. I don't think that a dating show is going to solve your problems. I feel like them two, I like LaRonda and Sean together. Sean has a different set of issues to work on. So yeah, LaRonda, do you want to go on a second date? LaRonda ultimately decides that she does not want to go on a second date with John. But the funny thing is, it looks like she had the best date out of everyone. So Dr. Nicole basically says, why are you making this decision? You have to be careful making decisions that are not honest with what you actually want to do. She says that she is thinking about Sean when she's making her decision. So I'm like, girl, I guess, like Dr. Nicole said, there's going to be more dates. So if Sean wants to sit at home and not finish his peanut butter and jelly sandwich and get sick to the point to where he throws up, it's going to happen again next week, sis. So if you like John, go on the second date with him. But all in all, y'all, I think Put a Ring on It was a pretty good episode this time around. For my mods in the chat, if you would please do me a favor and timestamp these TV shows, because I am talking about 3 shows in this one video. So that's all I have on Put a Ring on It. I will catch up on the comments. Let's see what y'all thought about the episode. And then we will move on to Ready to Love. No, it took me some time. Okay, it's J-Dub. Like the video, y'all. Be sure to like the video. What do y'all think? Let me see. Alexia is codependent, just like Sean. 14 years. Peace and blessings. I think John was doing the fool. Jason said that these beards ain't for everyone. And I think that that was in reference to John. I agree. When I was watching, even with Chris, when Chris went on the date with Alexia, I was like, why does everybody have beards? Like, people are wearing beards like girls wear contour. You know, girls wear makeup, the contour and the highlight to like make your face look snatched. I think that the dude's beard is equivalent to a woman's highlight and contour. So yeah. Naturally Mars says Sean needs his own therapy sessions. I agree. Bonnie Blue, what's up, girl? She says his daddy gives him emotional anxiety. Absolutely. Absolutely. And I feel like it's something that he's going to have to get through, because not being able to control your emotions is dangerous. This other comment Bonnie said was on point. She says Sean is also emotionally manipulative. Yes. Okay. So in the end, whenever Dr. Nicole said, how do you feel about LaRonda making this decision to not go on a second date? He's almost trying to hide his smile. He ends up saying, well, I mean, it's not fair. Okay. It's going to be more dates. And I think that he also likes to be babied. She babies him. He got some issues. And that's not something that you want to end up taking on LaRonda and taking care of years down the line, because he's never going to change. So 1, Sean needs to get some counseling on his own. Or 2, she's a writer, she's a track star, run, okay? Because you're going to look up and 10 years from now, you're going to be babying him. So I think we can move on. We can move on to Ready to Love. Do y'all like the thumbnail? I thought this thumbnail was so cute, y'all. But the one thing I want to talk about, y'all see Alexis? I think Alexis had the best look out of all the ladies on the reunion. I didn't take pictures of everyone, but I feel like Alexis always has really nice gowns. Like, her stuff looks made, altered to fit. I really also prefer this hair over her curly hair that she was wearing when she was on the show. So very nice. Some of Alexis' casual outfits I definitely was not here for. She has an eclectic style, but this outfit, I think she ate the girls up. Caira, sis. I like the wig that Caira had on the show better than this one. And that's not even saying that Caira's wig on the show was actually lit, okay? It's just, there's so many ways to allude to make it seem like you have edges. And I'm not trying to be funny, y'all. I'm just saying, like, usually when you get the lace wigs, they can do the illusion to make it seem like, you know, it's edges going into your hairline. I've even seen the hairstylist take a 5x5 closure wig or a 4x4 closure, and they'll lay it on the side, so that way you can have the side part and you can also tweeze the hairline and have it given an illusion that it's actually edges. Because back in the day when people used to wear closure wigs, you would just wear it blunt on your hairline. It'd be blunt like you see it now. it's just a straight line. But that's not, the girl's not doing that now. You need a little ruffle to the edges. And that's all I felt. Other than that, I was like, I just, that wasn't my fave. So, like I told y'all, I didn't think that this reunion really gave. At this point in time, I'm tired of talking about Caira. I'm tired of talking about Caira if y'all are not going to get down to the facts. So I really appreciated Alexia's role in this reunion. A lot of people said that it was the Caira show, but in my opinion, I feel like a lot of the stuff was centered around Alexis, but a lot of people didn't really pay attention to that because all the dudes was like Caira, 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 thick ass, Caira, Caira, Caira. So yeah, I think Alexis played a really good role. But let's go ahead and get in order of the show. Y'all see the couple sitting up here. We see KG and Amber. Amber, sis, you looked a fool. Amber was wearing is that a fake boa or a faux boa around her neck? And one thing I will say is her and KG definitely were on the same page. It seemed like they were styled by the same person. They seemed really eclectic. And when I seen them together, I was like, okay, good. They are still together. So good for them. But that fake boa snake, girl, that was not it. AJ, cool, whatever, is what it is. Caira, we done already talked about you at the beginning. Liz, you look beautiful. Liz seems to not want to show body the way that she did at the masquerade ball. And I think that's because she's secure with her man, Jason. The other thing I wanted to talk about is Jason. I feel like Jason heard a lot of us on YouTube saying that he looked funny because his mustache didn't connect to his beard and he had baby teeth and blah, 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 blah. I feel like he intentionally tried to grow out his beard to make it connect to his mustache. However, his beard seemed to grow in density, but the mustache stayed the same. So you tried, I guess, but he looked the same. Vernicia, I liked the color and the material of the dress. I did. I like Vernicia's hair, her makeup. She always looked good and natural. She looks good. I just don't know about all the extra sleeves and stuff, but whatever. Joelle, you look a damn fool, like always. Joelle was wearing white, blue, pink, gray, black shoes. Joelle looked a fool. And based on the facial expressions from Vernicia this episode, I can assume that they are not together. I told y'all that they were not together before the show even ended. I knew that it was not going to last. So the episode starts out and we are talking about KG and Amber. We find out that they are both good. They're doing good. They're in love. And then here's a close-up of that fake boa. We can move on from that. I'm glad to know that they're still together. Next, we jump into Caira Blue. So they show all the flashbacks from Caira when she was on the show. They show her talking about AJ, talking about how they dated in the past, yada, yada, yada. Then they talk about her and Jason. And then they also show a clip of Alexis questioning what Caira's intentions were when she was on this show. And I'm not going to lie, y'all. At the time of watching the show, I was definitely Caira. I was team Caira. I was definitely feeling like, yeah, play these men the way they play you. You don't have to make a decision if you don't want to make a decision now. But ultimately, when it got to the end of the episode and I saw how hard she was playing the game and how she ultimately ended up playing herself, now I have to, put some respect on Alexis' name. I thought Alexis was just being bitter because she knew that Caira had the power over AJ. And it might be a combination of both. Alexis may have been feeling some type of way that Caira had the pull that she did over AJ. But Alexis wasn't wrong. I definitely would want to know what was Caira's intentions on this show. So Tommy asked her that. And Alexis ended up saying, when I talk to you, it would be one thing, but it would be different than the way you were moving. And a lot of people felt like you were only here to make it to the end, not necessarily to find someone. And I can see how upsetting that can be when you're on the show looking for reassurance in every single dude you're dating, Alexis, and you're on there for the right reasons. You want to find somebody and you have somebody who's playing the game with different dudes, pulling strings instead of allowing you to have your genuine connection. My thing is, if AJ really prioritized Alexis, he would have done that regardless of Caira. So two things can be true at the same time. Caira was playing the game like a fool. On the other hand, I don't think AJ was anybody's man. And it just is what it is. So before Alexis can even finish her sentence and ask the question, Alexa says, we want to know how 4 out of the 6 dudes ended up saying Caira if you weren't having conversations with them. Caira says, then ask them that. Don't ask me. No, I want to know from you, Caira. You're the common denominator. We want to know from you. You're sitting in the ladies' lounge with us, or ladies' brunch, or wherever they got y'all. If we being real, I want to know from you. Why? The dude's not going to tell the truth, but Caira's playing games like I told y'all. So Uncle Tommy says, well, it doesn't matter because nobody would even know if y'all wasn't in my men's lounge telling what was going on. And y'all know who was looking stupid? Ron. Yeah, Ron, because Ron ended up being the shit starter between everybody, the common denominator between everybody. So they go to commercial break. When they go to commercial break, Caira's talking to the other ladies and she's like, you know, any of the mess that was going on had everything to do with Ron. The mess between the ladies, Ron, mess between the men, Ron, and Amber is saying the same thing. And Vernisha goes up to Caira and says, nah, these men are full of it. And when Vernisha said that, I was like, okay, pretty much confirmed what we already knew. You are not with Joel. And now you see how full of it the men are. So y'all, then we get a visit from Tressa. She was the comedian. She ended up going home, couldn't show up because she tested positive for the virus, but she's still single. Now we can go ahead and talk about first round eliminations real quick. And I remember how I felt about the first, y'all funny, how I felt about the first round eliminations. We get, I think his name, Christian up top. Christian to the top left was a mailman. And then the girl next to him is Andrea. They both got sent home fairly early, but it seems like they're going on a couple dates. He ended up asking her, or no, they're not going on a couple dates. They've been texting or talking. And Tommy puts him on the spot and says, well, can you ask her on a date? He's so nervous. He's so timid. And he ends up asking her in front of everybody. And she accepts. But now that I see this, I'm like, I definitely see why you went home, Christian. I felt bad for him in the beginning because if y'all go back to my very first review of the show, I thought Ron was an asshole. And I was like, y'all definitely should have sent Ron home. Y'all should have sent the creepy dude Troy home instead of sending Christian home. But either way it goes, Christian would have been home. He would have been sent home. So next we get into Khalil, y'all. Khalil's over in the lower left of this picture. And this dude is whack as fuck. I ain't even gonna lie, y'all. When I was watching the show, when he first came on, if y'all have been watching from the beginning, he came on very studious, very proper, talking like this, and Mean Girls were the reason why his relationships didn't work out. And then he hopped on the show. Yeah, man, you know, I like to clean up every once in a clean up. What? Now you're trying to talk like you have this added swag. Only because when you were on the show, all the ladies said that there was a lack of swag. So now you're going to come on level 1000, completely being somebody different than what we saw when you first were on the show. This shit was weird to me. Then we find out that he's dating Ida. Ida was the girl who basically had vomit at the mouth. She just said whatever she wanted to say, whenever she wanted to say, awkward situations. And he reveals that they were dating. She basically says, well, I didn't give you consent to tell these people that you were dating. When in all actuality, y'all, I don't think we really care. So let's move on. Bloop. Now, y'all, we get into Ron. We have conversations about Ron and Chrysanthemum, Ron and Alexis. Now, I keep saying a lot of people were like, Caira, but the common thread, who had that hot seat the whole time, or who had the seat next to, I was about to say Andy, the seat next to Tommy the whole time definitely was Alexis. So they're asking about his relationships. I showed the flashbacks. And pretty much the one flashback that they spend the most time talking about is the flashback whenever Alexis ends up sending Ron home. In response to Alexis saying, you're not ready to love, Ron then says, I thought you were smarter than that. Basically being really insulting. I thought that he was a complete ass whenever she sent him home. Not only did he say, I thought you were smarter than that, but he decides to throw in her face that he had also went on a couple dates with her good friend Amber, and that they had kissed and that they plan to be together once the show was over. So he definitely went all the way in. So Tommy wants to ask him, what does that have to do with anything? Why did you say I thought you were smarter than that? And instead of apologizing immediately, Ron ends up saying that he thinks that both people have to take accountability. How narcissistic of you to not just take self-blame for what you did. Even if you felt like Alexis did something wrong, which I didn't see her moving funny, you definitely should have just only spoke on what you could control, which was your part. So he says that in reference to him telling Alexis, I thought you were smarter than that, he was talking about how there was one night when all the guys were at his house, Alexis was there, AJ pulled her to the side and he says to her, I ain't got to spend time with you, so just wait for me. He ends up having her wait for him for 2 hours. She sits there for 2 hours like a fool. I hate to say it. I hate to say it. Let me blow. She sat there for 2 hours. And Ron ends up telling her, hey, I don't think he's coming. I don't think he's coming. I think you should go home. Now, while what she did was clown behavior, I still think that Ron was the wrong messenger. Ron is still an ass and he's dumb. So he may have said, I thought you were smarter than that in response to Alexis, but why? It's the simple fact that you waited for her to send you home, for you to bring up something that was embarrassing for her and try to use it to basically shit on her name. So Ron, I'm still looking at you like a Judas. Nah, I'm still looking at you like a clown because you can't really explain yourself out of this. So not only that, we find out that Chrysanthemum met his mom. And y'all, Chrysanthemum's outfit, y'all, she had the club fit ready, did she not? So anyway, y'all, she ended up meeting his mom. And he says the reason being is that she lived close and that he knew that they would get along. Is that the protocol for meeting moms now? Let me just call the one that lives the closest and the one who I think they'll get along with. However, you still had Alexis as your number one pretty much the whole time. So, you know, when the episode, I just need to go with my gut, y'all. Go back to my first review. I told y'all I thought that Ron was an asshole. Ron revealed to us that he probably was an asshole because in his confessional, he said that I'm usually cool once people are forced to get to know me. Forced? Why should anybody have to be forced to get to know you? So yeah, he definitely was an asshole. Then like in the middle, I was like, oh, well, maybe he's nice. Now he got his whole ass out. He definitely showed his ass. So not only that, but he ends up embarrassing himself a step further. And this is where I was like, wow, I was waiting on this to come out at the reunion. I thought that Ron would have tea on Amber, but it was actually flipped. Amber exposed Ron for being a liar, for being an asshole. And I really got my whole entire life to this part of the reunion. So Ron and Amber end up talking. And Amber says, like, where did you get this from? Like, why are you telling people that we went on dates? And he ends up saying, well, we actually went on quite a few dates. And Amber said, quite a few. And he said, okay, well, a couple. And then, hold on, y'all. One hot second. Just thank you for waiting. My dog was acting a fool. So anyway, y'all, he goes from saying, yeah, we went on a couple of dates to her saying a couple, we went on one. And he was like, okay, fine, you're right. So how do you go from saying you've been on many dates at the top of the conversation to not even 30 seconds later saying that maybe it was just 1 to 2? The audacity, y'all. This man is a liar. He is displaying narcissistic traits. I hate to say it. I hate calling anyone a narcissist when it comes to these shows because, y'all, I am not no doctor. I'm not a psychologist. Nothing like that. But when you see it, or what you got to call a thing, like Jay Lee likes to say all the time. And that's exactly what it was. So he ended up being exposed. So then Tommy asked a good question. He says, were you with Alexis when you were in the midst of kissing Amber? Alexis says, yes, they were still together. They were still working things out. Ron says, absolutely not. So then, y'all, we get a conversation with all the men. They talk about how it's good for them to be vulnerable, blah, 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 blah. Because ultimately, I feel like all the men were full of shit except for KG. To me, y'all, I love Liz, but Jason, like we all agreed last episode, I feel like he's somewhat of a shapeshifter. So for that reason, I feel like I can't trust Jason. I seen him play hot potato between Caira and Liz, whoever was showing the most body at the moment. And although what him and Liz may have right now is genuine, I don't really know if I can get with Jason as a person. But that's not for me to decide. That's for Liz to decide. So if you like it, I love it. So then we get into Chrysanthemum and Stacey. Y'all, I really didn't even care much about this part at all. They talked about how it wasn't fair that the girls couldn't really be as cool as the guys were. The guys just got off stage crying, talking about the brotherhood that they made up. But whenever Stacey and Chrysanthemum decided to create freaking frackness, they weren't with it. Very good argument, Stacey. However, y'all were annoying. And I don't think that the dudes intruded on each other's dates. You and Chrysanthemum, y'all liked a lot of attention. Y'all thought that y'all were the green-eyed bandits, the ops. Y'all thought y'all were a duo. And it just didn't work in your favor the way it was going to work out. Tommy ends up saying, oh, so are you dating? Stacey immediately answers, yes, I'm dating. And Chrysanthemum has met him. He says, Chrysanthemum, are you dating? She says, yes, not one person, quite a few. And, they'll end up meeting Stacey. So Chrysanthemum, no, you're not dating. But that's all I got from them two. Them two worked my damn nerves. I was actually glad that they went home before the halfway mark of the show. So, y'all, we get to the last part of the reunion. And I just named this AJ. They talk about AJ and Alexis. They show all the flashbacks. And they want to know, AJ, what did you mean when you said I'm in pursuit of you? Because when you said that, it kind of gave Alexis the idea that you were all in her court. And it gave me the same idea. And AJ says, well, anyone I was talking to, anybody I was texting or calling or dating on the show, I was in pursuit of. Okay. So now you're going to do a play on words. Okay. That's what I'm talking about, y'all. I called fuckboy at the beginning of this season on AJ. And I hate to, label somebody as that without fully knowing how they move. But I hate to say it. I think I was right, y'all. A lot of the antics that he had definitely was F-boy-esque. He was only willing to minimize it if Caira had chosen him. So they end up asking him another good question. Well, why did you send her home? Why'd you send her home at the ranch if you told her you were in pursuit of her? And he ends up coming up with some bullshit and says, well, if she didn't choose me, she would have chose Ron. At that point, Ron was already home. So what are you talking about? Make it make sense. What are you talking about? And now you're in the hot seat and you got multiple people asking you questions. You can't just spew words that don't make sense because we're going to continue to ask you questions. What sense does that make? So anyway, Caira, why didn't you choose AJ? She ends up saying she felt confident enough that they could date, but she didn't want to commit to him. And for that reason, I don't blame you, sis. You're not wrong. I don't think any of y'all really wanted to be in a relationship with each other, but for you to commit to him at the end of the series really would have irked the fuck out of me because I would have said that y'all were just reaching. So good for you to stay true to yourself. However, I think you weren't humble. You had your head blown up a lot of bit, and you felt like you had the pick of Jason and AJ. You knew that Jason ultimately was a better dude than AJ when it comes to good guy versus bad guy. You kept playing the game until ultimately you ended up with AJ, who you knew you couldn't see yourself in a committed relationship with because he displays fuckboy tendencies, as we said. So you decided to keep dating him. So after the show, we find out that they continued to date. She went out of the country for 2 weeks. She continued to talk to him every day. And while she was out of the country for 2 weeks, he ends up hitting Alexis' line. Or Alexis ends up hitting his line and she messaged him and said, did anything we go through, was that real? And whenever she said that, I was like, Sis, let that man go. Let that man go. If you're still questioning whether or not what y'all went through was real, let it go. The show's over. If he hadn't hit you up, let it go. At that time, she did not know that he and Caira were still dating. And TEAMI ends up asking, so what you want to do? Which one of these ladies do you want to date? And AJ ends up saying he was definitely hurt by Caira, but he feels like it's fair game. They leave it at to be continued with the assumption that next week AJ will have an answer for us. So y'all tell me what y'all thought about Ready to Love. Any of my mods in the chat, any of my commenters, please go ahead and timestamp this before we move into the final show, which I think was giving the most out of all my Friday shows, and that was Love After Lockup. So before we do that, let me see what y'all talking about in the comments. Blue, blue, blue. Thank y'all for rocking. We got 164 in the chat. Please be sure to like the video up, y'all. Boop, boop, boop. Carrie, this is a good comment. Carrie says that she understood Ron's explanation. Alexis got to be dumb to still choose AJ after he left her hanging. I thought Alexis was smarter too. Understood that. I did understand it. However, I still think that Ron is an asshole for using that moment to blow it up in her face on camera, only because she didn't choose you. So I definitely understood where he was coming from. And I think that a lot of the heat that he got from TEAMI, he really wanted to explain himself a little bit further, but he couldn't. It's J Dub. I was hoping you saw this clown emoji. So it's J Dub says, Necey, you are on point. I was typing the clown for Alexis and there it was. For sure. Absolutely. KA says AJ has never shown genuine interest. And then I'm going to read probably two more before we get into the next show. K.A. Chris in that funeral makeup and synthetic wig. Every time I see her, I hear, I'm Italian. I'm Italian. Facts, okay? And Sam J says that I can say that they have narcissistic tendencies. That's exactly how I'm going to have to word it. I can't diagnose them, but we're going to call it how we see it, y'all. So for the final show, Blue, Love After Lockup. I know a lot of y'all have not gotten into this show, but trust y'all, this is a really good show. And if you just need to know what's going on, I will catch y'all up on the show. So we're going to go couple by couple. The first couple that we will start with is Courtney and Josh. Now, Courtney was actually a corrections officer. She worked at the prison where Josh was at. She ended up messing around with the prisoner. She would come into her damn job in multiple wigs, trying to conceal her identity to visit this man that worked for 8 weeks until she got busted. Then she ended up having to serve 60 days in jail, and now she's on probation for 2 years because, you know, she broke the law. Josh finally got out of prison last episode, y'all, and I heard it's not going to work out. One of y'all commented on my last video and said that they definitely had some domestic issues going on at the house and that it's not going to work out. So last episode, they finally get it on. They start knocking boots. They finally get to have sex after he's been in prison, I think, for 11 years. And it's so funny because they're laying in bed and Josh is just like, yeah, it was amazing. It was crazy. It was exotic. And he calls Courtney nerd in the streets, but a freak in the sheets. And I'm like, okay, y'all are cute. So out of all of the couples here, I think that Courtney may be the most dumb, but I feel like Courtney and Josh, I still don't see where it can go wrong. Y'all said y'all had already heard from some sources that it's going wrong, but I have the most faith in this couple out of all the ones on there. Not because they're a good couple, but because to me, they seem to be the best. They seem to be on the exact same level of foolishness for each other. So she ends up cooking steak for him the next morning. And whenever she's cooking steak, he ends up tasting it. And that's why I had to screenshot it right here. He closes his eyes. Oh my God, this man has been in prison for 11 years. So for him to come home, definitely, you know, have sex the first night he came back, and for him to say it was wild and exotic and was really good. And then for this man to eat steak the next day, he was definitely living his entire best life. And then Courtney ends up telling people a little bit about her past, which was she really just wants somebody to value her. She grew up having a hard life since she was 5 years old, and Josh had a similar hard life. So they have a lot of commonalities that she feels like brings them closer together. And honestly, she just wants to be loved. And I feel like Courtney is the poster child for what these outsiders look like. So when I say outsiders, you have your prisoners and then you have your outsiders. Your outsiders are often as crazy, or, well, not as crazy, because sometimes the prisoners aren't crazy. Your outsiders are crazier than the prisoners. It's usually something wrong with them, and they often just want to be loved. They think it's easier to find somebody on a prison dating website, somebody who's locked in, somebody who's not going to do them wrong, and they end up falling in love because they just need a sense of value from someone. So it's really sad to see Courtney go through that, but I hope that these two stay together. We'll move on to the next couple. Now we'll move on to Rachel and Doug, y'all. Rachel and Doug. Doug definitely seemed like quite an asshole before this episode. We never got to see him. He was often cussing at her on the phone, yelling at her, talking crazy. And the reason why I thought he did this, I told y'all, Rachel has a fetish for bad boys. And I definitely think that he was just playing up to that stereotype for her because it got her off. That was like probably what they do before they get into phone sex, I'm pretty sure. So this episode, he seems a lot more chill when he gets out. Rachel ends up telling him what his parole policies are. So you can only be out of the house from 8 to 5, Monday through Friday. And then on the weekends, you got to be in the house the whole time. Rachel and Doug are on the phone. Doug has an issue with this. And she says, well, speak to the manager. I'm like, not let me speak to the manager as prisoner. Really? Y'all on some Karen shit. He wants to talk to the manager. And Rachel is convinced that even though he's only been out of jail for 40 days, that this time is going to be different because he's in a whole different environment, a whole different city. He has his son. This time he has a wife, and there's too much on the line for him to jeopardize to go back to prison. But the one thing that I wanted to call out was, like I said, the longest he had ever been out of prison was 40 days. He ended up, I guess, being out of prison long enough to get somebody pregnant to have his son. So it's like he had a son on the line that he may have not known about, but he still ended up going back to prison. He came out, went back in, and you think that his son wasn't enough, but you think that you may be enough. That's the delusion I'm talking about. She has a fetish. She's smart. She's an engineer, but her heart is leading her to the wrong places. All in all, this episode, I think Doug seemed like a cool person this episode, but I know he's definitely going to probably show some toxic traits eventually. Mind y'all, this man has never been out of prison for long as an actual adult. He's been in prison since he was 17, with this last sentence, him being in jail for 4 years. So we'll see. I mean, they had a really nice reuniting situation going on, but for you to think that your love is just enough for him to stay out of prison, girl, I hope so. I hope you're right, but I don't think so. So we'll move on to Stan and Lisa. Stan had his friend Dash with him this episode, y'all. I love Dash. Dash is probably my favorite of the friends on this show. He's probably my favorite character on this show. Dash will tell it like it is. He's an old man that's not with the shits. And he's basically like, Stan, the math ain't adding up. You're not making sense. So he says, well, Lisa gets out tomorrow, and I hope that whenever she gets out, that she is your Cinderella and not an evil ass stepsister, because he knows that she's trying to secure the bag. Stan and Lisa are different. They're one of the couples that actually met before she went to prison. So it's not like he just found her on a prison dating website, but he did find her on Seeking Arrangements. So my thing is, if you met this girl on Seeking Arrangements, I feel like that's where everybody goes to find a sugar daddy. Y'all, one day I was like going down the hall of sugar baby TikTok because I'm like, dang, these girls really be doing it. It's like, it's just really interesting to me. And the titles will usually be like, this is how much I made in 7 days using Seeking Arrangements. That's how the videos go. So I'm like, dang, Stan is not with the times. And he doesn't realize that you're not going to meet your wife through here. Stan, you need to take your ass over to Christian Mingle. You need to go on over to Match.com, but Seeking Arrangements is not it. So Lisa ends up calling Stan on the phone. They're talking. She's talking about her brother. And she decides that she really can't bail him out. At this point, he needs to decide to choose God or, whatever else he wants to do. Because what's been going on in the past isn't working for him now. He needs to learn his lesson. So she also mentions whenever she gets out of prison, she doesn't know which name to go by because she is married to two guys. She says on the phone that she's married to two guys. And he starts joking about it and was like, yeah, don't worry about it. We'll get you an attorney. So he ends up saying, okay, I'll talk to you later. I love you. She just says, bye. No, I love you back. Dad says, hold on, did I hear that right? Did she just say she was married to two guys? And Stan ends up trying to blur the truth. She literally said that she is married to two guys. Stan ends up saying that she's married to one for sure, but she thought she was divorced from the other, but she's not sure. She sounds like she's gonna be back in prison because I forgot what law that is, but she's definitely breaking the law. You cannot be married to multiple people. She even ends up joking, saying, well, at least one of the names, my maiden name, I haven't broken any laws in, so we can keep that name. So y'all, it's the morning of the release. Stan brings all her wigs and makeup. And he's like, yeah, it's no way that Lisa can look like a boy, because Lisa ends up telling Stan on the phone, hey, I'm not, pretty like I used to be. She never says I don't have long blonde hair, but she says I look like a boy. I look like my brother. And y'all see Lisa look like a regular old cute little white girl in this picture right here. But when she gets out, she's probably not going to be looking like that. So Stan keeps putting it in the back of his mind like, hey, it's not a big deal. I got you some wigs. I got you some makeup. It's not a big deal. Don't worry about it. He's like, yeah, I think she's going to look pretty good. So he shows up to the prison. He's waiting. And then finally someone comes out and he's walking towards the door. And I definitely saw a butchered haircut. And if y'all go to my last review, I actually posted the picture of what Lisa is looking like right now. So we know Lisa's not looking the same, but he doesn't even recognize her. He says, Lisa? Is that you? Yeah, that's Lisa, and she's actually looking like a boy. So I can't wait to see how Stan reacts to that, because I definitely can't see no good old man, getting down with, and who knows? He might like the short hair, because he definitely talked about that sex dungeon type thing. He likes all the violent, kinky sex. So he might like it, y'all. We gonna find out. Next, we gonna move on to this fool, Brittany. I have to do that because you've been with this man 9 months. This man has been away from his family for 3 years, and somehow you thought that you would take the wife role. No, sis. So it is Ray's release day, and Brittany goes over to his parents' house. She has gotten this man a phone already. She's ready for him to get out of prison. Ray has been explaining to her all this time that his past is definitely a hard one, that he basically is from the hood and all this stuff. She ends up pulling up to this suburban middle-class neighborhood, nice 2-story house, cute little dining set, a nice house, and it doesn't look like struggle to her. So she's like, what is this man hiding from me? And then on top of that, I also feel like this man is named Ray Jr. He's named after his dad. And I'm like, I don't know. I don't know if that's the struggle that he claims. To me, once I saw that he came from the middle class house, he reminded me of those suburban ass kids who choose to take the path opposite of what their parents have given them. So y'all tell me what y'all think. We need to learn more about Ray, but I feel like Ray definitely was one of them suburban ass kids that wanted to live a hood life. Y'all know the kids that like to claim the hood that's, 20 minutes away from the suburbia town that you actually grew up in. And that's what Ray was probably given. So she shows up to the house and she gives the parents t-shirts. She meets his stepmom, who's in the second picture. She meets his dad, and she also meets his grandmother, who is really close with him. So they're all like, oh, okay, thanks. The dad ends up driving them to the prison. The dad really isn't saying much at all. And she ends up saying in her confessional, I kind of wish that I was picking him up myself, because it was so many things that we said that we would do. And to that, y'all, this man, he's been out of prison for 3 years. You've known him for less than 9 months. And I'm going to say less than 9 months because when Grandma Sue asked you how long you've known him, you hesitated on the 9 months like it wasn't really quite 9 months. So you've known this man for 8 months and you feel like you should have priority over his mom, dad, and grandmother to pick him up out of prison. Okay. And if anything, if you had never seen the man before and you knew that it was important for his family to really escort him out of prison, you should have waited. I definitely would not have put myself in that awkward ass situation because y'all, when he does get released and he ends up running up to his grandma first, then his stepmama, then his daddy, you're going to be sitting there waiting for a hug. Can I get a hug, head ass? You're going to be sitting there looking crazy. So I definitely think you should have stayed at home. So in the car ride, you know, the stepmom's like, so did y'all get to email each other or what? Because she's wondering, like, how did you meet this man? How did you meet my son while he was in prison? Not knowing that your son definitely had a jail phone and was talking to her the whole time. So Brittany is really just like, yeah, you know, it was 9 months and we just texted and talked a lot. And the grandma's like, oh yeah, I'm sure you did. I'm sure y'all were just aware of each other because Grandma Sue is like, what else was y'all gonna do within the 9 months anyway? And what's wrong with you? Why you can't get a man in the free world? You rather find my grandson. Like I love my grandson, but it's something wrong with you more than my grandson as to why you would go find a prisoner. So Grandma Sue, I'm with you on that one. Then they end up pulling up. It looks like they're like a gas station or something, and the bus pulls up. He ends up walking off the bus. He looks at them. He doesn't say anything. He doesn't wave or anything like that. And she's standing there the whole time like, Raymond, Raymond, oh my gosh, Raymond. And there's no excitement in his face. I think that they hyped up this scene to make you think that he was going to go back to jail. But what I think was going on was that it probably just didn't feel real to him that he was actually going to be released. He probably didn't want to show too much excitement because at any moment he's probably like, shit could go wrong. So let me just act chill the whole time. Let me not yell. Let me not, wave or anything like that. And I definitely think that's what happened. So we'll see on the next episode what happens with Brittany. The last couple that we are going to talk about is Dante and Nicole. I've been chopping this man's name up. I have been calling him Dante the entire time. And y'all, clown of the week. I hate to say it. Clown of, not the week, but of this episode goes to Dante. And he's definitely about to get played, just like his mama with the blue eyes tried to tell us. She's in the car. They're on their way home from the prison. And he's taking her to her mom's house. And she's like, yeah, I got $1,000. I got $1,000 in my bra right now. And he's sitting there saying, yeah, that's straight up. Money ain't no object. I'm just like, Dante, I wish that you were a person who thought with your brain a little bit more. He's definitely, like I said about Courtney, one of those people who just wants to feel loved. What happened? I'm looking at the parents crazy. What happened in your child's life, or what were they missing for them to grow up and then literally just seek love? And I'm not saying that they shouldn't be dating prisoners, but what I am saying is that they're trying to seek love from anybody. Better yet, they're trying to seek love from people who they feel are already locked up, so those people can't cause them harm. I think they think like, well, if you're in prison, you can't do this to me, so let me pour all my love into you, and whenever you get out, I'm going to be all you need. That's definitely what I see with Dante. So she ends up taking the $1,000 out her bra while she's changing clothes for him to hold it. Dante ends up smelling the $1,000, and I'm like, sir, that's gross. This man has withheld from sex for 18 months, trying to be faithful to Nicole. And Nicole claims that she hasn't had sex in 4 years. That's a damn lie. I don't believe it. He was probably in there with them women's like Lisa was, which is why Lisa is coming out looking like her brother. But yeah, you definitely about to play him. So he ends up giving her a gift out the back of his car, and it's some lingerie from Victoria's Secret. Got the ass out and everything. You can see through it. And she's like, so what do you want me to do with this? And he said, well, I want you to put it on. And she's like, we're not doing anything. Like, you can look, but you can't touch. I'll send you some sexy ass selfies. And he said, don't do that. Don't do that. Quit playing. Oh, girl was not playing. She will gladly take your $1,000, your Michael Kors watch, your Jordans, your Vans, your Victoria's Secret pink outfits, but she ain't trying to do nothing. So I definitely hate that Dante is gonna have to go pull that torso up out of the dishwasher, but that's what he's gonna have to go do because Nicole is going to claim that she has anxiety from being in prison for 4 years. Not to say she doesn't, she probably does. But the thing is, I would assume that the first thing you want to do when you get out of prison is probably go bump up against somebody. The fact of the matter is, the person you want to bump up against just is not Dante. So she gets dropped off at her mom's house, and she says, "Hey, I don't think I'm going to stay the night at your house. I want to stay with my mom because I haven't seen her." And he says, "Okay, it's just one night. This is the love of my night. My love of my life is one night." And he says, "Okay, well, let's go in and meet your mom." And she says, no, I think I'm just gonna do it myself." And that's another time where she's drawn the line between the two of them, and he ends up looking foolish as hell. And he says, "Hold on, what now?" She says, "No, I don't want you to meet my mom." And I think he's starting to, his brain, his first instinct is definitely to pick up on these red flags, but he's pushing it to the back of his mind. So she ends up going in the house, meeting her mom, reuniting with her mom. Dante does not meet her. She's sitting in the bed looking like Red Run or somebody and pulls out her phone and she sends that "I'm home" text to somebody. So it's definitely somebody who she's trying to see. In her confessional, she ends up saying that, she hasn't told Dante some things. So while Dante is talking about planning marriage and her being his wife, she hasn't told Dante that she still wants to date around. So I really hate it for you, Dante, but that sex torso is definitely about to be back. And I hate to say it, I hate to see it. So let's see what y'all talking about in the comments. Some of y'all stuck around for love after lockup. Julia says Dante is a whole clown. Sam J sending the clown emoji, denote. Okay. Harold, you are killing me. He says Dante's mama stood too close to the microwave when she was pregnant with him. It's something going on. I don't get it. I don't get it. What else? Alana has to agree with Grandma Sue, and Grandma Sue is the grandma of Ray. Is something wrong with Brittany? I don't get it. Tracy even says Team Granny. Jay Antoinette, you know what I'm talking about. She says my brothers are one of those wannabe hood but suburban ass kids. Trust, okay? I'm from the suburbs. I grew up with a bunch of dudes like that. So yeah, some of them ended up coming out of it and now they work like a regular 9 to 5 being normal. And then other ones decided to live that hood life all the way up and now they're love after lockup. So I'm like, why would you do that? I don't get it. So yeah, y'all, Lisa looks different now. All in all, y'all, I think that this was a fun way to do the reviews, especially since I have so many shows coming out on Fridays. So if y'all like this, I'm thinking maybe we can do like a Sunday brunch. I call it like brunch with Necey, instead of brunch with Tiffany's. And I can do like all the Friday shows at once. So if y'all like this video, please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Share the video. Don't forget, y'all, I just announced that tomorrow on Jamie That's Me channel, we will be we will be interviewing Anila from Married to Medicine tomorrow, 8/9 Central Standard Time, Jamie That's Me channel. And then on Thursday, we will be on Jay Lee's Corner channel, and we will be interviewing Ashley from Put a Ring on It Season 1. So I hope y'all have a good rest of y'all day. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and I will see y'all in the next one. Bye. Thank y'all for watching.